energy prices. Corporates are really keen to make sure that they can control their long-term energy costs. But also this whole part about commitments of how can you prove you're buying renewable energy and where you're buying it from. This gets away from any of the concerns about that. And people can they're putting it on their roofs. They can show people what they're doing. So I think from our confidence point of view, it's related to, we think that appetite is really good at the moment.
But I mean, I find it very interesting because a lot of people do think that renewable investment is a sort of Jan tomorrow story, that you're going to have to wait for many years before you see any payback. But obviously promising a 5% divvy, you're positioning it almost as an income stock.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point is that you can, once you put these on roof, you can start to make sure that solar is incredibly fast to deploy. So you can deploy solar in sort of 1 to 2 months. It means that you can actually get this moving incredibly fast. And what we hope is that once we've delivered on this first portfolio, we can then come back to the market with the success of the first portfolio in place and then move to another to raise more money in the future.
Now, as I mentioned in the introduction, you've got an all-female board. Was that by accident or by design?
Well, I mean, it came together not by accident. Obviously, we employed people who had the right skill sets for the job, but it wasn't by design that it was all female. I mean, it is exciting because obviously this marks a first, but at the same time, it's going to be really interesting to see how it works. And I hope each of us bring very different skill sets to this board, but completely right to add to the team. To be able to deploy this cash now.
All right, Juliet, we've got to leave it there. Good to see you again. Thank you. Some other stories now. And Ryanair has confirmed plans to delist from the London Stock Exchange. Europe's biggest airline said today that the volume of trading on its shares on the exchange did not justify the costs related to its listing. Well, Ryanair said earlier this month that the volume of its shares traded in London had fallen dramatically since Brexit. EU rules require that the bloc's airlines are controlled and owned by EU citizens, a stipulation that has excluded UK nationals since Britain left the EU. The owner of B&Q and Screwfix said today that it expects its sales and profits this year to be at the higher end of expectations. Kingfisher said that demand remained supported by new industry trends, including more working from home, while better product availability had helped it to win market share. Well, group sales in the 3 months to the end of October came in at £3.25 billion. That was actually down 2.4% on the same period last year on a like-for-like basis, but up 15% on 2 years ago. And UK retail sales returned to growth in October following 5 months of consecutive falls. Retail sales volumes during the month were up 0.8% on September. That's according to data from the Office for National Statistics. Well, that was better than the 0.5% growth that had been expected. The ONS said that clothing department stores and toy shop sales all saw better sales in October, as did auction houses and charity shops. Meanwhile, as more people returned to the high street, the proportion of retail sales online fell to 27.3%, and that was the lowest since March last year. Now, like most industries, the advertising sector has had a rough couple of years during the global pandemic, but now it's fighting back. Joining me now is William Eccleshare. He's Global Chief Executive of the advertising giant Clear Channel. William, very good to see you this morning. Now, I should stress, of course, you're a specialist in out-of-home advertising, which is back to pre-pandemic levels.
Yeah, we just reported our third quarter earnings and we are hitting 2019 levels in many markets now around the world and certainly seeing one of the sharpest snapbacks, I think, of any media. So, yeah, we're very encouraged by that.
Has the strength of the recovery surprised you?
To be honest, yes, it has. I mean, I think we expected a strong recovery, but not as strong as this. And I think the thing we're learning, I think everyone is learning, is that the downturn as a result of COVID was not like any other downturn anyone has ever seen before. It wasn't driven by economic factors. It was driven by the pandemic. And I think that meant that the recovery hasn't been like anything we've seen before either. So we went down very far and we've come back very quickly.
I mean, public transport usage is by no means back to pre-pandemic levels. Have rates reflected that fact?
I don't think rates have changed very significantly. I think we look more at occupancy. and certainly occupancy in transport contracts like London Underground, for instance, are down significantly. We at Clear Channel have benefited because most of our inventory is actually above ground in street locations, high street locations, and that's kept up pretty well.
And what have you seen in airports?
We, again, don't have many airport contracts in Europe. In the US, where we do have airport, we saw a significant decline, obviously, during the shutdowns. But again, that has come back very strongly, and Americans now are traveling pretty much at pre-pandemic levels within the US. So yeah, again, it's coming back very, very fast and very strong.
Well, you've kind of preempted my next question. I mean, obviously, you're a big global company. Are you seeing much differences in the strength of the recovery from country to country?
The US recovery is stronger than that which we're seeing in Europe. Again, they didn't go down as far as we did in some countries in Europe, but the US is really very, very strong indeed, I would say. In Europe, the UK is the strongest recovery that we're seeing. Again, that's partly because of the kind of inventory that we have in the UK, very, very strong near retail outlet. But all across Europe, there's really a direct correlation between as we've seen restrictions on movement lifted, so people have gone back onto the street, so advertisers have wanted to reach those people. And you were just talking then about the retail recovery. I mean, that is clearly gaining pace. And as we move towards the Christmas period, advertisers want to reach consumers and are talking to them very loudly to ensure that they get their fair share or more than their fair share of consumer spend as we come up the all-important Christmas period.
Have you noticed much change in the nature of campaigns since the lockdowns ended and economies reopened?
I think in terms of kind of creative content, a lot of advertisers are overtly acknowledging the stresses and strains that the pandemic has brought to consumers and are reflecting that in the messages that they're giving of a kind of let's celebrate, let's really make sure that this is a Christmas to make up for the one that we missed last year. So I think there's a very clear sense in terms of creative content of respecting the fact that we've all had a very tough time, and we now want to make sure that we make up for that.
I gather that national advertising has recovered much more rapidly than local advertising. Why do you think that's the case?
I think it's the big brands that are coming out and are really ensuring, as I say, that they reconnect with their consumers. And I think it's those big national brands and big institutions that are wanting to ensure that they're back at front of mind as we see the recovery gaining pace. I think that's what it's about. It's hard to say. I mean, I do again think it varies a bit country by country, but that's certainly the case in the UK.
All right, William Eccleshare, appreciate you joining me this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, software may be eating the rest of the world, but it has failed science. That was the view of Sajik Wickramasinghe, who'd set out to do something about it. Well, the business he founded, Benchling, today announced its latest funding round. It has raised $106 million, and that values the company at $6.1 billion. Well, I spoke to him a little earlier and began by asking him to explain what the business does.
Benchling is cloud software to speed up modern science, so specifically biotechnology R&D. Benchling is used by over 200,000 scientists at 600 companies and 7,000 research institutes globally. These scientists are choosing Benchling because it helps them bring life-changing products to market faster. If it's okay to interject a little bit of a personal story, and I can share a little bit about how the company got started and why biotechnology matters. I'm actually not a scientist. I wanted to be one. I studied computer science. I'm a software engineer by training. I've been programming most of my life, but I got intrigued by biology, and I started working in a biology wet lab. I was excited by the impact that medicine could have. And it was the contrast between software and science that led to the creation of Benchling. In my life as a software engineer, I had these powerful, rapidly evolving tools that helped me collaborate seamlessly with engineers no matter where they were in the world. Now, in the biology lab, where I was arguably doing much more important, more complex work, I had a paper notebook, spreadsheets, and email. software may be eating the world, but it's certainly failed science. And Ian, the stakes have never been higher. Biotechnology has been growing explosively, and in the 21st century, it could totally rewrite the way we live, from the medicines we take to the crops we grow, food we eat, materials we wear, and household goods that we rely upon every day. But this is a tall order for scientists, and we owe it to those who are dedicating their lives to scientific discovery to equip them with the best tools possible. And yet, science continues to run on paper and spreadsheets and generic tools for scientists, where we're asking them to go from building bicycles to building rocket ships, but we haven't changed any of the tools. And it's a tall order to cure disease and feed the world and solve climate change. And so that's where benchling really comes in.
But why is it that scientists, as you say, are so paper-based? Is that a cultural thing, or is it just the fact that they haven't had the tools at their disposal of the sort that you're offering until now?
Yeah, this is really complex work, and the science itself has been evolving so rapidly. We're living through this renaissance in biology right now, where we have cheap and precise gene editing, we have DNA sequencing, we have DNA synthesis. We have all these technologies to read and write and edit the very building blocks of life that we didn't have a decade ago. And so the science has advanced so rapidly. There's no way that kind of generic tools could have kept up with this and could really serve the purpose-built nature that scientists need for their work. So it's not a cultural thing. It's a matter of great technologists coming together with great scientists to try to change the world together.
And the interesting thing is, for corporate customers, you will charge them. For academics, the product is essentially free.
Yeah, we really believe that there's incredible science happening all around the world, and it feels like the right thing to do to equip those scientists, no matter where they are, with the best possible tools for the job.
Now, obviously, you're cloud-based. Was it a hard sell to persuade a lot of scientists to share their data with you and allow you to put it into the cloud?
Well, Ian, trust and safety is really important for us. It was certainly a hurdle at first, 8-9 years ago when we got started. People were freaked out by the cloud. But now I think people really recognize the benefits of technologists like us being really focused on providing the best tools possible for scientists. Let the scientists do the science and let us focus on the IT.
Now, the funding round proceeds are going to be spent partly on expansion here in Europe. Why the need to target Europe? Is it relatively underserved, do you feel?
Yeah, look, biotechnology is a global industry, and so we've had to become a global company to better serve our customers. We started investing in Europe about 18 months ago before the pandemic, and we've now grown to almost 100 customers in Europe, and we have 60 employees across Zurich and London. We're really excited to keep investing in Europe. We're finding that European companies want to be at the forefront of science and technology, and they want modern tools so they can change the world.
And this funding round's been led by Franklin Templeton, who are a new investor. Did they come to you, or did you seek them out?
Yeah, Ian, we've been really fortunate to have a lot of investor interest in what we're doing. I think the pandemic has certainly elevated the importance of biotechnology into the world's consciousness for the first time, for better or worse. And I think we've been lucky as a result that a lot of investors have been interested in benchling. And so Franklin Templeton, Altimeter, and the other investors, I think, have been tracking benchling for a while.
A lot of people are going to be asking whether this is the precursor to an IPO.
Yeah, I can't comment on that today, but we are very, very focused on keeping up with the customer demand and growing our team.
Now, separately, earlier this year, you announced a free-to-use product to enable people to teach biology remotely. What was the take-up for that like?
Oh, it's been great. Benchling is now, in addition to being free in academia and used by tens of thousands of undergrads, PhD students, postdocs every day, it's also being used in a lot of courses. Undergrad courses at universities, even some high school courses. We think it's really great to see the spread of biology and biotechnology globally.
And you've moved to the West Coast. I think you founded the company when you were at MIT. When did you move from East to West?
I moved pretty early. The first lines of code were written when I was in school at MIT, and then we moved over to the Bay Area because it was at the time really the hub of technology and a place to be if you wanted to build a software company.
Remember the name benchling. I thought that was a fascinating conversation. Now, nationwide building societies' half-year profits have more than doubled as the economy bounces back from the pandemic. Pre-tax profits during the 6 months to the end of September came in at £853 million, up from £361 million during the same period last year. Well, the UK's second largest mortgage lender said its share of the current account and savings account markets both rose during the period. Well, joining me now is Joe Garner, Nationwide's chief executive. Joe, morning to you. You allowed your share of the gross mortgage lending market to actually slightly fall during the period. Why was that?
Well, good morning. Well, actually, our total mortgage market share is down 0.1%, which we're content with. That's broadly flat. In fact, our share in the buy-to-let market was up a bit. Our share in the residential market was slightly down. But within that, where we really focused was continuing to support our members through the pandemic, and we kept lending when some others withdrew from the market, and leaning quite heavily into support first-time buyers that are critically important. And actually, of all the numbers we've reported this morning, the one that actually I'm most pleased with is the way that we've extended our lead for customer service to our members, which is now for 9 consecutive years.
Now, the one thing that did strike me, I mean, you've just mentioned first-time buyers. I think you became the first major lender last month to offer 95% loan-to-value mortgages on new builds for first-time buyers.
Yes, that's right. We're continuing to support really all segments of the market. We were the first major lender to come back in at 90%. Remember that in the pandemic. And actually, at the time, we were criticised. But what we saw going on is that people's expectations of their house were changing, or their flat. They wanted more space, more outside space. Some of the hard anchoring between where you live and where you work has been loosening. And therefore, we saw a structural shift occurring in the market. That's given us the confidence to keep lending. That's been good for our members and also flowed through to our profitability. And even though the stamp duty holidays come to an end, we expect the housing market and the mortgage market to remain pretty vibrant.
Joe, as you mentioned just now, you've increased your share of buy-to-let lending, but reports of the death of the buy-to-let landlord have been exaggerated.
Look, we're a building society. We're all about helping people with their home. And over the last 10 years, the private rental sector has pretty much doubled and is a really significant part of the market. Therefore, it's important to our purpose that we are helping people find homes of decent standard that they can rent as well as buy. So it's an important part of the market. And again, it sits against a backdrop where one of the drivers has been that supply of housing has been, pretty limited and behind demand. And so that's been underpinning the long-term growth in house prices, which is good if you own one. It's not so good if you don't own one. And whilst there'll always be ups and downs in the housing market in the near term, I think we expect that long-term growth will continue.
Now, what impact would a rise in interest rates have?
So a really important question. Let's talk on the mortgage side, first of all. Most people now are on a fixed rate mortgage. In fact, the vast majority of mortgages we do are fixed rate. So even if rates did go up, most mortgage holders today would be shielded, at least for a period of time. And a rise, depending how big it is still relatively small in terms of pounds per month. It can be like sort of £10-20 a month if rates only move by a few basis points or a limited amount. More important, perhaps, is what happens on the savings side. Because since the financial crisis, it's actually the savers who've had the tougher deal as rates fell from their historic norms of 5%, where they were for hundreds of years, to less than 1%. And if rates were to rise, I would expect some of that benefit to come through to savers. And that's a really positive thing. So the net impact of 1 or 2 rate rises would be fairly limited. And from a consumer standpoint, maybe net positive.
At what point, how much would rates have to go up to before you started to become concerned about the impact it would have on activity?
Well, since the financial crisis, the regulators have rightly put some very good rules around mortgage lending. And when we do mortgage lending, we stress test that lending and check that someone can still afford to pay the mortgage, even if rates go up by 3%. So actually, certainly talking about the majority, the larger players, we can be pretty confident that a few rises shouldn't in and of itself cause a problem. However, where the pressure is really coming on people's spending is through inflation in other areas. It's energy prices, it's food prices. So we've got to, whilst interest rates in themselves don't necessarily increase pressure, we've all got a real focus on making sure we're helping those members who today are already feeling the impacts of inflation and helping make sure that they're able to service their debt.
Now, I mentioned in the introduction, you've increased your share of both the current account and the savings markets. Who do you think you're taking market share from?
We are a relatively new player. Remember, we're not a bank, we're a building society. We are the only non-bank that has successfully entered the current account market, and we've grown from a standing start to a 10% market share, so it can be done. And it's a full service proposition. We're not just an app, we've got branches, we've got mortgages, we've got savings. So I think we are living proof that you can take on the big banks in their heartland of current accounts and win, and that's where we've been taking share from. It might have taken us 30 years, but we've got there.
You're not an overnight success, Joe, obviously. What about, I mean, in terms of the kind of market share you might be targeting, is that something you can go into?
Well, historically, we've always targeted a 10% market share of the current accounts, and that's important because it gives a certain degree of scale. We continue to think, and actually, as a mutual building society, we don't chase market share. You know, what we're about is doing the right thing by our members of today and tomorrow. And so we'll continue to evaluate our ambition against that. So, for example, in the pandemic, we removed our switcher incentive for new current accounts so that we could focus on serving our existing members through the pandemic. We've now reintroduced that incentive, which also applies to our existing members, because we think that that is in the interest of our membership. So we will continue to optimise based on what we think is in the best interest of our members and our building society.
Now, you announced in September that you'd be stepping down as chief executive. Why are you leaving when the society is in such fine fettle?
Well, I feel that over the last 5, approaching 6 years, we have focused really on navigating through the challenges of Brexit and COVID. And we've built, really significant financial strength through this period. And that gives the society choices in the face of the next generation of challenges, which are going to be climate change, of course, there's the economic uncertainty, the continuing impact of technology. And there's a moment in time where the society can make some decisions about how it's going to react and capitalize on those opportunities. But it's really important that whoever makes those choices is in the role long enough to see them through. And now that I'm approaching 6 years in role, it's going to need to be someone else. So that's the reason why I felt that now is the right time for the society to be making a change.
All right. Well, it's always good to talk to you, Joe. I hope you come and see us again before you leave. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Well, still to come here on Ian King Live, we'll be having a look at how the markets are doing this Friday morning. Don't go away.
The wind was like pulling us out of that little room.
Mandatory evacuation, you must leave.
I'm Greg Milam, Sky's US correspondent here in Los Angeles. It is almost impossible to predict where these fires will go next. We aim to be the best and most trusted place for news. This gives you an idea of the strength of those winds, strong enough to bend and twist metal. Are you trying to run me over, Sir Philip?
No, go away.
Look like it, sir. Will you respond to those who made accusations, Sir Philip?
Can you go away?
I've seen the dark side of America. We are standing on the supply line right into the heart of America's opioid crisis. I've seen heartbreaking human stories.
There was a river of blood coming out of the mosque. That's a scene that you don't forget.
Christchurch has been changed forever by what happened here.
Welcome back. Let me tell you what's been going on in the markets. And equity markets in the Asia-Pacific region finished the week in mixed territory. There were gains in Tokyo, Shanghai and in Sydney, but declines.
at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about Sendwave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Check me out.
He tells me my energy is making him tired.
Yes.
How do you get the energy to do
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of the darkness. The whole of darkness.
So what did that
myself and the world will adjust. And 2019,
forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on the CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Starr Radio.
Hello, lovely listeners. Tune in to the renewed show with Charlotte. Make it a date to listen to me this and every Thursday at 5 p.m. on Starr Radio UK. Tune in to an hour of power, an hour of encouragement, an hour to inspire you to stay positive and strong in this season. See you there and listen.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Prampram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Prampram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Broadcasting live online.
The Isiama, Bekutu, show them you got the Coco set. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Harry Song, aka Mr. Songs. This is the Kingmaker Baba for the girls. We're here. This is Star Radio. Don't go nowhere. UK, London. We they call them London for home. For here, we they call them London. And that's how you know. Just have fun and stay blessed.
The coolest way to start your weekend. The best radio show.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
All around the world. In your car.
At work.
At home.
On your smartphone.
This is Star Radio UK. Are you ready to turn it up?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good. Hey there, this is Archie, and it's a Starr Radio UK.
This is Star Radio UK. In your car,
at work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
This is Star Radio UK.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you, wherever you might be on planet Earth. I hope that God has watched over you and you have seen another dawn or another day, wherever you are. And I want to welcome you to the Star Radio UK Morning Show. Today's Friday, the 19th day of November, the year 2021. The time now 10:41 from the hearts of London. And of course, it is the Friday edition of the morning show. Stay glued to yourself, don't touch the dial. Let's make merry. Somebody say, let's make hay. Well, you have to really make hay because come Sunday, it's going to turn very, very cold. But I welcome you all. Okay, so let me say good morning, good afternoon to my colleagues, Mr. Frank Davis, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, Mr. Dan Tabiri, CEO of GIL Accountancy Services, our money man. To Kojo D, wherever you are, massive good morning to you. To Felix all the way in Aberdeen, morning to you, gentlemen. And a special good morning goes to our able producer, Mr. Francis Guy. And a visitor to the premises, the one and only Pastor Joyce Lawson. Massive good morning to you all and welcome you to the program once again. To our listeners in the US, those of you in Europe, those of you in Asia, Australia, Africa, and especially my special envoy to Russia, Casino in Moscow. Massive good morning to you. But this is afternoon there. Good afternoon to you in Moscow. Now you do me a massive favor. Share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages as well. Because from now till exactement 1 o'clock, I'm going to be your captain. You are short of one thing, arriving at your destination in peace. No pieces, of course. So if you're sitting, sit very comfortably. You're standing, hold on to something. Get yourself a hot or cold drink, whichever is appropriate. And let's take this journey. The journey until the unknown. Sometimes it gets bumpy. But as I said, the rest are sure.
On your smartphone.
Well, lift up my eyes onto the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord. Playing in the background from Diana Hamilton. And I hope that it's making your morning this morning. Yes, so even if the first time of tuning in to listen to us on the program on Fridays, this is how the program goes. I'm going to bring you the quote for the day, the weather forecast will follow suit, then the travel update as well. Then we'll go on to have a look at the stories making the rounds known as global trotting news across the globe. Then at 11 o'clock exactly, we have updates from Nigeria with our own Miss Olayomi Koiki from our North London studios where he'll be broadcasting from. And then we'll move on from there. We'll look at some of the other stories making the rounds in detail. From archaeology to zoology, from Accra to Zanzibar, it's making the headlines. Why not? I promise you, we got to touch on it. And then after that, we'll move on. At 12:30 exactly, we'll be having our money man, Mr. Dan Tabiri, CEO of GIL Accountancy Services, our money man, joining us on the Money Hour. But before then, the lines will be open at 12 o'clock for you to add your voice to the discussions. But then, if you want to post your comments or make your voice heard before the lines are open, put it on our Facebook page or text or WhatsApp it to us. The number is 07 07539661744, 07539661744, or +44 7539661744. Okay, so welcome to the program once again. It is Friday. Thank God it's Friday. But share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages. Now let's move on straight to the quote of the day. It says, we cannot blame our failure to live our dreams on a lack of time. We must learn to make time in our days to live those dreams. So make the time. After all, we all know time and tide waits for no man. It is Starr Radio UK. Okay, so let's move on straight to the weather front. On the weather front, this afternoon we will see more in the way of cloud throughout. Although the odd brighter interlude is also likely to develop at times, it will remain largely dry, a gentle westerly breeze expected. Now this evening will be cloudy, but a few clear breaks are possible. Overnight it will become overcast, a mild night with a gentle westerly breeze expected there as well. Now when it comes to the temperature is going to be 14 degrees, the lower is going to be 9 degrees. UV level is going to be low, pollution is going to be low. Sunset 16:06 and sunrise for tomorrow morning 07:25 hours. But for the weekend, now tomorrow, that Saturday, we'll continue to see plenty of cloud and throughout the day. Although the odd bright spell will also break through, there is the chance of isolated spots of light rain or drizzle. Then comes Sunday, where it all goes pear-shaped. Sunday will be a breezy and chilly day, but it should be largely dry and bright with plenty of sunshine. But the chance of the odd shower cannot be ruled out. Now, when it comes to the temperature, Saturday 13 tops, lowest 7, and Sunday chillier, tops 9 degrees and lowest 4. But wherever you are, as I say all the time, get yourself a drink which is appropriate to where you are, or depending on what you're doing. Okay, Starr Radio UK. Let's move on straight to the travel update. Don't you worry, I'll bring you the rest of the song. It's one song that my colleague Mr. Frank Davis has fallen in love with greatly. The lyrics, my goodness. Okay, but let's go on your travel. Stay tuned, don't touch the dial.
Check it out. Keep your eyes on the road.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Keep your eyes on the roads, and we'll keep you navigated. I promise I'll be on the Starr Radio UK travel update comes to every weekday from 10:40. Coming at a later time today, 10:49. Let me say good morning to Pastor Emmanuel Chidi. Thanks for joining us, man of God. Okay, so on your travel this morning, on the underground, there are minor delays on the Bakerloo line due to between Queen's Park and Elephant Castle due to an earlier faulty train at Edgware Road. So check before you leave. If you are stuck in there, please continue to listen to us as and when there are any changes. I promise to bring it to the fore so that you know exactly what your travel is like. But that aside, Waterloo City Line have got planned closures, as you know. London Overground, TFL Rail, DLR, London Tram Lane, good service there. Now moving on straight to the river bus this morning. Assuredly, no issues there. Good service throughout, and on the National Rail as well. Apart from the Gatwick Express, have got special service. All the others have got good service. But continue to keep those eyes on the roads, and I promise you, yes, we'll keep you navigated. Now moving on to the final segment of the travel update. That is the major roads in London. A4 has got closures. Central London Red Road closures there aside. But that aside, all the others, good service. No exceptional delays. Well. As I will say all the time, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you, wherever you might be on planet Earth. Enjoy your commute for today. But you know what? Continue to keep those eyes on the roads.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
This is Starr Radio UK.
back to the program. It's now gone 9 minutes to the top of the hour. And the Friday edition of the morning show. It's now time for Global Trotting. As I say, if it's making the headlines from archaeology to zoology, from Accra to Zanzibar, I'll bring your way. So, let's go on that journey. Now, serious EU intent to fix NI, that's Northern Ireland border row, Irish Prime Minister is saying, but Michel Martin says he is frustrated. Post-Brexit talks are hindering UK-EU relationship. Now, what is going on exactly? We'll bring you in-depth details of that story there. And the UK government wasn't ready for COVID. Reports finds detailed plans on shielding job support and school disruption were lacking, the spending watchdog has said. Well, of course, it was a uncharted territory. We've never been there before. We've never seen anything in that magnitude before. Well, we know that, 100 years ago there was something of that sort, but you and I were not there, and there were no proper records, you know. How many people were even attending school at the time? But well, this time around, it hit us. And we were found wanted. Well, we'll bring you details of that one as well. Boosters to be added to NHS COVID pass for travel. Yeah. Now, it's not only the double vaccinated ones who will be allowed to travel, but you have to have a booster jab. Oh my goodness. Now, people in England will be able to prove they have had a third dose, enabling travel to some countries. Whoops. Well, a former England batter, Alex Hales, apologizes for all the offenses he has caused after a historical photo showing him wearing black makeup was published. Historical racism. Two women and 2 children died in house fire. The 4 victims were rescued from the property by fire crew, but all died at the scene. It's all coming from Starr Radio UK. And then British troops are to help at the Poland-Belarus border. About 150 army engineers are to help reinforce the EU border after migrants try to enter from Belarus. Now, if they have anything in them to fight that, why don't they go to France to stop those who are crossing the channel? Well, it is Starr Radio UK. Now, moving on to other parts of the world, Austria to go into full lockdown as COVID surges. Now, days after it imposed a lockdown on the unvaccinated, it announces full lockdown from Monday. Are we going to be seeing a lockdown here as well come Christmas, or people are going to go for the booster jab? To what end? Jesus. All right then. Well, Modi has backed down after year-long farmer protests. India Prime Minister Narendra Modi has announced the repeal of controversial farm laws. And well, so farmers have won. Now, paying case must be investigated, Serena Williams says. Serena says the case of Chinese player Peng Shuai must be investigated and urge people not to stay silent about her welfare. But last night I was having a conversation with somebody, and I was saying that depending on which geographical area you find yourself, if you go say all these things to say, oh yeah, I was abused, blah blah blah, there's some areas that they will nip you in the bud. Unless you have people, the authorities coming and making sure, giving you support and going after or investigating what has happened. But I don't think China is one of the places. Well, so where is it? Where is she? Peng or Penge? Where is she? Somebody say she is in Penge. Okay, the doctor fleeing in Tennessee over COVID. The former head of U.S. state vaccine rollout has been forced out after threats and taunts. Well, when it comes to deforestation, Amazon says worst deforestation in 15 years. The figures come after Brazil promised to end the practice by 2030 during the COP26 climate summit held in Glasgow. it's also Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, Biden mows diplomatic boycott of Beijing Olympics. Both Democrats and Republican lawmakers have called for action over Chinese human rights abuses. Well, are they going to find this tennis player? Was she lying? Because there have been some information flying around saying that, oh, she is apologizing that she was lying. How true is that? You know. And moving on to other parts of the world as well.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you, God. Thank you, God.
On the African continent, what's happening there? The South Africa Power Company says it's the victim of sabotage. This is the first time Eskom says it has proof that saboteurs have been at work. Okay, we'll bring you more details why that story has come out. The U.S. Secretary of State on crisis in Sudan and Ethiopia, the U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken says there is a real risk of Ethiopia pulling apart if a diplomatic solution isn't found. Well, we've said it several times, and we're expecting the leadership of the African continent to do something about it, but as of now, nothing has been done. And Sudan has restored internet as anti-coup protests persist. The protests have been taking place since the military took over on the 25th of October. And the U.S. have lifted sanctions on Burundi. Secretary of State cites President Evariste Ndayishimiye reform over the past year, and because of that, they decided to lift the ban on them. A Muslim cleric shot dead after Uganda bombings. And Sheikh Mohammed Abbas Kirivu was killed by security forces who said he had been working with jihadists. My goodness. So, stories making the rounds this morning that I'm bringing your way. In Guinea, yes, transitional president has promised smooth transition of power. We're bringing you more on that front. And it's All Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, ECOWAS has gone on to place sanctions on 150 members of Malian government. So they will say, what do we care? But it's All Star Radio UK. Now, when it comes to Nigeria, what are some of the stories making the rounds there? It is Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
This is Star Radio UK.
Troops kill 11 ISWAP terrorists in Bono. Well, there's some troops. They thwarted the attempt of a military takeover of a military base. I will bring you more on that front from Nigeria in a moment. Just stay tuned, don't you go away. And in Inferno, 2 cars burned as petrol tanker exploded in Ibadan as well. So this has been going on for the past, virtually this week we've had lots of explosion in Nigeria. What is government doing about it? What is it? Health and safety issues. Do we take it serious? As serious as we're supposed to? Straight to Ghana as well. Ghanaians are the most taxed people in West Africa. ABF Hussein, it says. E-Justice. Ghana must take advantage of COVID-19. That is what the Chief Justice is saying. Well, when it comes to the road toll, well, we stopped tolls collection to avoid chaos after budget reading. Roads Ministry. That's what the road minister said. Apparently, he's not in the country, but ushered out or those instructions are out of the country. And the Speaker of Parliament has said, well, you cannot do that. If you're outside the country, you cannot do that. But well, there's a lot more coming your way. Stay tuned, don't you go away. Let's go. Enjoy the rest of the music, and then I will be with you, bringing you updates from Nigeria. Stay tuned. Enjoy the music.
When he pulled me water, what's it
hitsgh.com.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR, S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Yes, welcome back to the Friday edition of the morning show. With the time now, 6 minutes past the top of the hour. Well, you know what is going to happen? Yes, it's now time for the update from Nigeria. And we've got no other one but the one and only Mr. Olayomi Koiki, who has joined us from North London Studios, where he's going to be bringing you all that you need to know pertaining to what is happening in Nigeria. And let me take this opportunity to say, Yomi, good morning to you and welcome to the show once again.
Well, good morning again. It is the Friday edition of Starr Radio UK, the 19th of November 2021, 7 minutes past. I say good morning to all our listeners, our viewers, and those that are watching us from back home in the land of where so many is happening and so many people are asking the question, what is going to happen, as we're almost some few days, months to the general election in Nigeria. I'll come back again to you now in the studio. Like I said, thank you very much to those that have joined us already.
Yes, how are you doing, sir?
Well, I'm doing very well. It's grateful to be alive. Like you always say, when you're alive, there's a lot of hopes that things will change. But sometimes, because of the pressure from around the globe, a lot of people believe that maybe things could get better, especially with humanity. But since we are here, we will continue to give you all the news and everything you need to know, especially back in Nigeria.
Yes. Thank God. I hope you are doing well, and the family and everyone as well.
Yes, we do very well.
Great. Listen, let's Mr. Olayomi Koiki for you. Now we're going straight to Nigeria. So what is happening in Nigeria today?
Well, quite a lot is happening, especially, the Secretary of State, of America, Blinken, was in Nigeria. We're going to be discussing about that. The fuel marketers as well are complaining. Fuel marketers predict about 170 naira, to a liter, which a lot of people, might be wondering, as we continue to say, Nigeria being the 6th largest crude oil producer in the world, but yet we are still having problems in terms of how much is it worth buying the crude oil itself. A lot of Nigerians tend to use petroleum to run their businesses. They use that to do a lot of things. So these are the areas we're going to be touching this morning. But again, I also have some part of the headline. We won't preempt the state decision on the NSAS. That is also, President Muhammadu Buhari. As we know that, the issue of the NSAS is still a very, very important area that so many Nigerians would like to know, what the federal government would do around that. So we're going to be discussing that as well this morning. But let's first maybe touch on the visit of Blinken to Nigeria and what we should be expecting and what was said. The United States of America, this United States Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, arrived at Abuja yesterday on the second leg of his official visit, to Africa. He's gonna be in Kenya as well, but Nigeria is also part of where the visit is also happening as well. So what do we know, and what can we say took place in Abuja with this visit from the Secretary of State? And you've got to remember, when people like this visit Nigeria or Africa, there's a lot at stake. Blinken visited President Muhammadu Buhari and the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the State House, also met with the Foreign Affairs Minister Jeffrey Onyeme. Part of the photos is also out as well. But what was the discussion is what a lot of listeners this morning would like to know. Before his arrival to Nigeria, we know that America literally removed Nigeria from one of the countries that has issues, especially with with religious tolerance as well. So and the talks about security in Nigeria, the democracy as well. Since the election is coming, and there's a lot of drums for what we might call whether the self-determination groups of people that believe that Nigeria is no longer working and they will not want to be part of Nigeria, whether it is the kidnap and the rendition of the leader of the IPOB, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as well, or whether it is the Chief Sunday Igboho that was almost assassinated by the Nigerian government and is now being held in Benin Republic because he disagreed that the Fulani cannot continue to create atrocity in the Yoruba land, and that was the reason why he was fighting for that purpose. So these are conversations that a lot of people would like to talk about. So before I come back to you in the studio so that we can review that, let's look at part of what the conversation was all about. The U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken met with Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari yesterday. Part of the discussion, domestic, regional security, and the West Africa democratic backsliding, including Abuja handling of the anti-police brutality that took place last year. Blinken's trip to Nigeria came days after the report, which we've talked about in Wednesday on Nigeria Voices, where peaceful protesters in Lekki Tollgate were killed by the Nigerian military and also the Nigerian police. Blinken said during a joint news conference with the Nigerian Foreign Minister Jeffrey Oyeme that depending on what we called the conversation between himself and the foreign minister on the round table, authorities should hold accountable any of those responsible for human rights abuses. We know that Americans, doesn't tolerate human rights abuses, but the question a lot of Nigerians are asking is, how come America now has removed Nigeria from one of the countries that doesn't have tolerance with religion, especially with so many killings that have taken place in the country since this government came on board, and ever since America included Nigeria in that particular list. So I'm going to come back again to you in the studio, and then we can review that because that is very, very important, especially, like I said, one person coming to Africa has a lot of changes, especially as Nigeria election is getting closer. A lot of people are also skeptical about this kind of visit as well.
Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. That was Mr. Olayomi Koiki. Let me quickly say good morning to Mr. Frank Davids.
Yeah, Archie, good morning and good morning. Olayomi, how are you doing? Our listeners, our viewers.
Good morning
to
you,
family.
They're doing very well. It's very good to be seeing you as well. We don't know where you were yesterday, but I'm sure you were busy.
I was running around,
Yeah, somebody say he was doing his papa. Okay. Well. Hope you are doing well, Frank.
I'm doing great.
Great. There's a quick one. Now we have the U.S. Secretary of State Blinken, who is touring Africa. Now he went to Nigeria. Now we know that Nigeria, up to now, we're talking about religious tolerance, and that thing is not there. I mean, we've had various group of people in various places who have been, whether killed and all that is going on. But it happened that the Secretary of State came to Nigeria and said, Nigeria has been taken off that list. So what has gone on? Have you seen any change yourself?
Actually, as much as we acknowledge the troubles that are in Nigeria, we look at the northern part of it, predominantly. There's a large section of Nigeria, a large stretch of Nigeria, that when we talk of religious freedom, you do not see people in the south, for instance, or southeast, southwest, going after Muslims within their community to say that you are a Muslim and you cannot practice over here. You take Olayomi, for instance, his family, they are not from the north. They are from the southern part of Nigeria. They are Muslims. And I've never heard Olayomi said that probably there was an evangelical church close to him coming to say, because we Christians are predominantly here, we do not want a Muslim in that area. What we do know is that in the north, Christians are subjected to some of this. And again, you look at it that it is not what the northerners, a lot of northerners will want, but there's a group of people who we all know are criminals and again terrorize even the northerners themselves, who go about, committing some of this atrocity, killing, beheading, and burning churches and other things. Yes, it's still trouble, but we cannot have a trouble-filled world. We do not have it anyway. So putting that name, putting that on that list, will mean invariable that you basically blacklisting the whole of Nigeria. But I do believe there are travel advices, because those things are there to help guide people when they are traveling. It's also to help guide business people when they want to, when you're doing for armed sales, for instance. We do know, however, that because of the report, the US is taking a different tone, singing a different tone when it comes to armed sale to the Nigerian authorities, that they're going to now start controlling
arms embargo.
Arms embargo. So it's a mixed reaction that is coming. You cannot just blacklist the whole country as is.
Thank you very much, Frank. Yomi, did Blinken say anything about the arms embargo?
Well, like I said, the arms embargo, which a lot of Nigerians, remember that Nigerian government was sold the Tucano from America, and they've literally said those Tucano must not be used, especially in the southeast, where there's a lot of military activities presently. It has to be focused where it is meant to be, which is in the northern part of the country, where there's ravage of terrorist activities as we speak right now. The arms embargo is something that we'll have to wait and see. But the US President Joe Biden has repeatedly said advocating for the human right and working to improve democracy around the world is the art of his foreign policy, which is the reason why he has come down to Nigeria, even though critics have said promoting human rights often take a backseat to preserving national security priorities. Buhari, in the first official government comment on the substance of the damning report, told Blinken that his administration would take a lead from the state government, which commissioned the report that we talked about in terms of the panel. So the federal government have waited to the step taken by the state before they can do anything. But the U.S. Department said Blinken and Buhari discussed Nigerian security challenges and noted the importance of reinforcing the democratic principle of what we call free press, which is not available in Nigeria, digital freedom. Twitter has been banned in Nigeria, peaceful protesters, they were killed last year, and this year when they wanted to remember them, we also what happened, and the dissident, as well as respect for human rights. Nigeria doesn't have respect for human rights, and there's no doubt about that. But the shootings ended weeks of the nation protest. So Blinken 3-nation African trip started in Kenya, where he reiterated for unconditional release of ceasefire in Ethiopia, conflict and appeal for return to civilian democracy in Sudan. Yesterday, I heard one of the DG of a particular institution was also talking about there might be a coup in Nigeria, because Nigeria is not immune to that as well, looking at the incident happening in other African countries. I'll see if I can get his name out.
Okay. Whilst you are doing that, let me say good morning to Adebayo Mayungbe. It's a good day all. He says that Nigerian leaders will be polishing lies before the American visitor presently in Nigeria.
That 100% agree. But you see, let me remind him of the saying that you do not wash your dirty linens in public.
Especially when you have visitors.
And that is why you will see that when a minister is even visiting the village, you see the district chief executive or the local authority, when there are potholes over there, they manage to fill it up. When Buhari is traveling to somewhere now, you see where the governor, you see what the governors do. That's where you see their bulldozers and the graders
all at work,
just trying to. Sometimes they work all night. They work throughout the night just trying to fill those, so that Oga does not see that there's a problem. And actually, to some extent, that is part of our problem, because we tell ourselves lies. Because if, for instance, the president who has the final say when it comes to some of these things is visiting a community, and we use that, like my brother said, we are polishing lies. The road over there is as bad as it can be. Today the president wants to travel on that road, going somewhere. Bless him, he's not flying today. But what we're trying to do then is to go and fill those potholes, make sure that the road is neat, so that when the minister goes back to them, oh, we've done this road, I travel on it the other time. It was good. I travel on it. So we basically live with lies. Are you get me? That's the same thing they'll be doing for the US. They send. Have you ever seen them take? They will not take them to the neighborhood. No. They will shut them
in Azor Rock and say, "This is a place. This Nigeria is so beautiful. Everything is fine here." Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. We still have Mr. Olayomi with us. That was Frank. Okay, send your comments in, as Mayungbe has said. Amaya Jorigini says Nigeria government are fond of making carefully constructed lies.
Well, that's all politicians. Most African in fact, politicians in general do lie, but African politicians, that's one of their hobbies.
Well, of course, we have Lion Muhammad. So what do you expect? All right, then let's go to Yomi for some of the other stories. Over to you, Yomi.
Thank you very much once again for those of you that have joined us from around the globe, and it is still Starr Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. It's exactly 22 minutes past 11 a.m. and now we will touch on some of the other headlines coming out of Nigeria. There was a group of people that came out yesterday to try to disown the leader of the Yoruba movement campaign known as Professor Banji Akintoye. But yesterday the leader came out to say that it seems the federal government of Nigeria has now been able to penetrate among some of the members that have been taking money through the back channel. So that ignites a lot of conversation throughout the last 24 hours, where there was meeting upon meeting from different parts of the group around the world, and there were people issuing all kind of statements to back the leader that they believe is the one. This particular group also criticized Chief Sunday Igboho that he wasn't listening while they were trying to speak to him, and then also, but this was part of the release from part of the other groups of the same support for Ilana Modua. So this is the coming from Ilana Modua, Canada and America, US, North America. The attention of Ilana Modua, Canada and the US has been drawn to the recent press conference by Otumba Folashade Olukoya and a group. All of us at Ilana, North America, Canada and US support unequivocally, unanimously state that we unanimously reject and condemn the actions of Otumba Folashade Olukoya and a group. That Otumba Folashade Olukoya and a group do not represent the opinion of all the members of Ilana Modua, North America, that Professor Banji Akintoye is the de facto Alano of Yoruba land and the leader of Ilana Omo Odua worldwide. We recognize the importance of Oloye Sunday Adeyemo Igboho and his role in this Yoruba self-determination movement. We express undivided loyalty to Professor Banji Akintoye, Wale Adeniran, Oloye Sunday Igboho, and all leaders who are genuinely advocating for the freedom of the Yoruba people. We want to salute our father, the Alana, for his leadership and his great place. So you can see that 2023 is already generating a lot. It seems, according to some groups, that some might have been paid by the federal government to now come in and destabilize the movement. Let's go straight to some of the other headlines as well, and I'll come back to you in the studio 25 minutes past. Remember to follow us on Twitter on Starr Radio UK. Ogun State Assembly orders Nollywood actor arrest for parading himself as a monarch. Quite a lot happening in Nigeria. Also, prophet raped 8-month pregnant lady during a private deliverance session. What a very sad story coming from that particular headline. But let's see if we can get a little bit more from that headline, and then I'll come back to you to some of the other headlines as well. So this is actually happening somewhere in Ondo State. A self-acclaimed prophet, Festus James, has been arrested by the men of Ondo State Police Command for allegedly raping a woman with 8-month pregnancy The suspect was said to have committed the offense at Agadu community in Odigbo, local government area of the state, parading the suspect at the command headquarters in Akure, the state capital, on Thursday yesterday. The police public relation officer, Mrs. Fumilayo Odulami, said James had carnal knowledge of the woman under the pretext of performing spiritual deliverance for her. So we can only say that we hope justice will be served. Let's go to the other headline. Ohaize attacked DSS over Nnamdi Kanu detention and lawyers alleged torture. According to the leader of the Apex Igbo social cultural organization, Ohaize Indigo, has condemned the condition the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, is being subjected in the detention facility of the Department of the State Service. Kanu's counsel, Aloy Ejimako and Ifeanyi Ejiofor, had alleged in the statement that were released yesterday that Kanu condition at the DSS cell amount to torture. They said any detained who encountered and greeted Kanu during the 1 hour is allowed outside the cell is promptly put in a solitary confinement as a punishment for exchanging mere greetings with him. The IPOB Council said till date, the DSS has denied Kanu repeat requests for an independent medical examination to determine the extent of damage done to his body by a suspected substance he may have been injected with during his adoption during that extraordinary rendition. So there's a lot of pressure as we continue to monitor that as well. So I'm going to take one more, come back again to you in the studio. Once again, it is still your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. It is Starr Radio UK. You can join us every Monday to Sunday with all different programs from around the globe as well. National Assembly committed to reduction of poverty among Nigerians. We hope that is going to be possible, especially with the term of this government running very, very low. Nigeria, as it stands today, remains the capital poverty of the world, and the reason for that is all kind of atrocity, terrorism, inflation that is also happening in the country as well. Lawmakers have admonished Nigeria to embark on agriculture. How is agriculture going to work when more Nigerians are running away from their farms because of the terrorists that has literally now enraged across the land as well? I come now to you in the studio. It is Starr Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Yes, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koike, a few stories that is put across. I'm coming back on it in a moment. But Amaya Ajirigene says that the world is made up of three people: the whites, the blacks, and Nigerians. So I think Amaya, you need to come back and tell me what you mean by that. Are you talking about Nigerian politicians? What are you talking about them? Well, it's
the white. Interestingly, it's Nigerian eye color.
Yeah,
because you say the white, the
black, and Nigeria.
So which color is Nigeria? Green.
That's the flag of Nigeria. Interesting. But let's come to the infiltration of the Odua. I mean, we have when there is this saying that divide and rule, and that is one of the policies that our colonial masters used. So whenever like Ghana wanted independence, and then they will try to infiltrate one of the opposition, and then you see that you have one side saying yes, others are saying no, it's not time, let's chill out, let's do that. So if the Odua people group, let me put it that way, don't sit up and try to have that unity of mind, then I think that fight that they are fighting is going to take a very, very long time.
That's what has taken long anyway, because at the end of the day, actually, may I just say that it's not everyone who is or who is from Yoruba that wants a separation.
Of course.
It's not everyone that wants it. People want different things. If you look at Obasanjo, for instance, he was from Yoruba. He was a Yoruba man. The question is, when he ascended into the throne, what did he do? If you ask Obasanjo today, does he want Yoruba nation?
He's spoken against it. He's spoken against it a few times.
It's not. So at the end of the day, expect that some people from within will oppose it. Coming from the same family doesn't mean we should share the same vision of how our future should be. And again, those who are championing that cause must understand even security services get a bit of penetration. I mean,
Infiltration.
infiltration. So you cannot be organizing something like this and expect that no one should infiltrate you. That's why you need to work the worst case scenarios. So in case we have half of us today, or people who used to march of us, let's assume we are marching to the gate of Azaroth, and we are saying that when we get there, half of the people, although we've planned that when we go, we all submit a petition to say that okay, we want an Ododuruwa nation. If we get there, and half of the people we are marching with, although they might have also joined the chorus, joined the petition they submitted. I mean, probably the sign is don't grant it. Don't grant it. What will be our second strategy? You know, because you always will expect that people.
Infiltration will take place.
So that's plan B. And if you're planning, you always have to plan B.
Let me ask you a quick one. I know that you speak sometimes for the Odua group. Now, do you or have you ever maybe consulted locals or the people in that area to find out that maybe a population of, let's say maybe you have a population of 2 million, okay, for example. Now you've done your own groundwork and you can say emphatically that look, we have about 1.8 of them who support this cause. Have you done that?
Well, and that is where that word is the acclamation. The acclamation is about that force majeure, the constitutional force majeure that started about a year ago. In another 1 month from now, it will be 1 year. So I mean, the engagement has continued, and a lot of people continue with that engagement. But the question is, you could see that engagement was literally stopped on the 1st of July when the invasion of Chief Sunday Igboho's house. The reason for that is, this was a man that was going out with a campaign with millions of Nigerians from around the globe monitoring the situation, whether they agree with him or not. But the government were not really pleased with the kind of crowd, in terms of the message that he was taking with him, into those communities as well. I remember, his visit to Ekiti State, some of the kings did not even allow him a kind of a courtesy conversation. They were literally not, he was at the Atauja, in one of the palaces in Ekiti State, and he was told literally that the king was not available, even though we know that the king is right inside there. But if he was a politician, the king would have literally accepted the politician. And as an example, there was an audio that was released yesterday by part of those that are campaigning for this, that the current Ooni of Ife should not use this time to talk about the fix of the road to some of these politicians. What they want now is 61 years of failure. Enough is enough. Who is Ooni of Ife? You did ask yesterday, who is Sultan of Sokoto? These are the kind of people that have the say that would have probably turned this movement around. The Ooni of Ife last couple of weeks said, according to him in an interview, that we want Chief Sunday Igboho, according to after my visit to President Muhammadu Buhari, but he wasn't listening because he had so many advisors out there. So you could see that the conversation of the Yoruba is not just between the elite, it's between the grassroots, and it's between the federal government of Nigeria as well, and the traditional rulers.
Okay. We hope to see. I mean, if you are fighting the cause, I mean, at least if you have majority of you siding with the mission, then you are sure that you can have victory at the end of it. Though the infiltration at times throw some spanner in the web, but hey, we'll go on from there. But now let's look at Kano's detention. Let me put it that way, and that of Sunday Igboho as well in Benin. Now, saying that when people visit Kano, it's put in what is it, isolation, or what did they I forgot the term that you used. And is that the norm? Is that what the DSS does, or this is just call it punishment or torture?
Well, again, it still goes back to part of if the secretary Blinken visit to to Nigeria was able to emphasize on the human rights abuses. I mean, yes, even if a criminal has been picked up, he still have his right until he's found guilty. But it's the other way around in Nigeria. We have this impunity that takes place between some of these authorities, especially like the DSS, that believes that they are more powerful than even the institution like the judiciary. And yes, Nnamdi Kanu still in their care, but they've been maltreated and not given the proper care. Just like the 12 innocent people that were picked up from Chief Sunday Igboho's house. You need to listen and hear some of their experience. Part of those that are still being held, not that particular group, we are told that people are still in the DSS custody 3 years, 4 years, and they've never seen the surface of the court.
Frank, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
We have Sunday
If
Igboho.
you just take my camera off and need to
Okay, no problem. Yeah, listeners, Star Radio UK, we have Mr. Olayomi Koiki just turning around quickly. Now, Frank, when it comes to Sunday Igboho, who is in Benin, now, is there some agreement of a sort where political prisoners, okay, or represent the people who are representing a group of people, and because of that they've been apprehended and been put in custody? Do we have some agreement that they are not tortured? I mean, they are treated fairly. Do we have anything of the sort in the region?
We you might not have specific agreements for that, but their human rights ought to be respected. Now, the only difference between someone who is a leader is that because of following, because of the person's role that they play, if anything goes wrong with him, you basically are offending or basically triggering a process that might be larger than you. And again, unless they have this UN protection, there are some people who now are subjects for UN protection, which case when you arrest them, you basically trending on dangerous ground, because their lives are in danger already. They've sought a bit of protection, and diplomatically they are respected as such. They are known as that this is an endangered species. This is someone who enemies after the person, therefore grant him all the necessary help that you can. But apart from that, then what you rely on is largely what they call it, their human rights.
I hope that maybe one day we'll have a chat with somebody from the UN to find out how people who seem, I mean, because you take Sunday Igboho, you take Nnamdi Kanu now, you know that their lives are under threat, and therefore they need that cover, that protection. But as to the process, how they come by that, I'm not very, very sure of that. But if you're listening to us, maybe you have information as to how people like that are fighting a worthy cause for not themselves, not being selfish, but fighting for their communities, how they can get that kind of cover protection.
And again, you're gonna look at certain countries that you cannot go to. For instance, if I take a case of my friend, he should be in Ghana next 2 weeks. Ebenezer. Ebenezer wouldn't want to go to Nigeria. I mean, Ebenezer will not go to Nigeria because, I mean, there's a case, for instance, where those who are fighting the same cause as he believes in were actually arrested and handed back over
to the Cameroonian authorities.
I would not want anyone who is fighting a leading member of Oduduwa community to visit Ghana as we speak. Why? Because there's evidence that the Ghanaian government has actually arrested some Nigerians, has not been able to account for them, and some of us believe that they have illegally be taken back to Nigeria against their will, not on the grounds of breaching migration rules, but on the grounds that they have been wanted, or probably they are political activists working against. So I wouldn't advise anyone. And if anything at all, Kenya is also another example that we can look like. Now you take Akwanga, for instance, he traveled to he comes here, Vatican, you travel to South Africa. They are friendly countries that you can go to. They respect a bit of law. But I mean, he traveled to Ghana because Ghana and Cameroon, we do not have any link. We do not have any link. But when you take the issue of Nigeria, Akufo-Addo and Buhari are close pals, bedfellows. Are you getting folks? If the bromance, they actually enjoy bromance. So you're not going to run there thinking that you'll be safe, because from the head of the governance, they actually are against you, and they seem to be working on behalf of
their friend.
Yeah.
Well, listeners, it's Star Radio UK. Let's quickly touch on this story. The 8-month woman who has been raped by a pastor, a prophet, sort of. And when I see such stories, I tell myself all the time, now, when you fail to know God for yourself, whether you're a Muslim, whether you are a Christian, whatever, if you fail to know God for yourself, but you want to depend on people, that is what happens, because they become your God, and whatever they say.
Actually, rape is rape. Rape is a rape. Rape is crime.
Yeah.
Whether he's a pastor or not, he's committed crime.
Yeah.
But one would have expected that someone who shepherds a lot of people within a community, or someone people look up to. There are some villages that you go, once you're a pastor, you sin next to God.
Yeah, of course.
Your status counts even before the headmaster. Because these are the pastor, the headmaster, and the doctor.
Yeah.
In that village. If you say Cocoa farming area, then the agri extension
officer. He's like
are you getting, or the person who man the cocoa weighing office.
Yeah.
So these are the people you're looking at. So if you're a pastor within that community and people look up to you to a large extent, and you go to abuse your position, and we've heard a lot of them say God says, God says, God says. It's unfortunate we cannot question some of this spiritual, but again the Bible makes it, in my view, the Bible says we should test them. We should actually test them, and for me that again means that we should be testing what they are saying. And we should be questioning them. So I mean, like you said, people must be able to understand that God, who says we should respect the rulers, and if the rulers have declared that something is criminal, I mean, by power vested unto them, they've actually helped and oversee the criminal codes and other things, and they are saying this is a crime. Rape is a crime. I mean, even probably you are married, or say premarital or postmarital sex is unconstitutional. How will you? How will you take it? That you are a woman, you go to a pastor, especially if you are married, and or let's assume you are even not married, okay, and the pastor tells you that
I need to God
says that I need to take the demons out of you by having intercourse with you. Your Bible first says that if you are married, what they call it, it's against the Bible.
Yeah.
If you are not married again, so why will you give in to that? Why don't you ask a person? But the Bible says, the Bible through which you claim God has spoken to you says in 2 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 18 that fornication is right, and it also says in the Bible that idolatry. So how come the same God? Then the God is confused.
He's a prophet who is confused.
So no, we should get to a point where people should be able to examine some of these criminals who actually, cover themselves with white robes.
They will use the same Bible to now tell you that you don't question.
No, but the Bible should test them. So people, I really
crazy,
I really don't understand it. Honestly. Unfortunately enough, most of our people, we are either Muslims or we are Christians, and to some extent, especially women, there are more Christian fundamentalists who are women than any other. Women are so fundamentalist when it once it comes to a pastor says this. Look, they can even come home and slap you because the pastor
says I should slap my husband,
slap the demon out of him. You know.
Well, listeners. Well, let the conversation go on, but that is a very sad story. And I say, an 8 months pregnant woman.
How?
What do you see? What do you see?
How? I mean, it's occultism. Wow, it's occultism. That's occultism.
Jesus.
That woman needs special deliverance. She needs to speak to God.
Serious.
That person is occult.
Like he said, maybe he would deliver her from
that person needs to be lashed.
Yeah, I mean, Frank, I've said it all. In the past 1 year, we've seen so much atrocity. Let me give you another instance of another case that is still pending somewhere in southwest in Ibadan, where an MBA, a young man of 37 with a wife and 3 children, was studying at one of the university in Nigeria, and decided to take a MBA, program in one of the universities. I'm trying to bring that story up, to see if we can get a bit of a background to the MBA man that was killed. So literally, what has happened is, we now find out that this man was killed, wrapped, and then his mobile phone was taken, and this particular hotel has dotted almost every information around him in terms of his lodging into that hotel.
Wow.
So what am I trying to say is there's so much crime happening now. We've seen, bodies being disarmed, and the man was asked, this is another story, but the young man was asked, where is the head of the body? And he said the head is at home and the remaining part of the body is somewhere in the bush. These are happening in Nigeria, and this tends to happen more as the election is getting closer.
Rituals. Well, listeners, it's all Starr Radio UK. Updates from Nigeria. The time now is 11:47. We'll go to Ms. Olayomi for some of the other stories and what is happening on the social media platform. Over to you, Yummy.
It's going to go straight to social media. Lekki massacre. Over 73,000 people have now signed a petition to jail one person, President Muhammadu Buhari. That is the petition that is currently trending on the social media. A petition by a social political activist, Reno Omokere, against President Muhammadu Buhari over alleged massacre of the NSAS protester at the Lekki toll gate during the October 2020 protest has now received over 73,000 signatures, and that will be heard here in UK when it's exactly 100,000, as we know. Recall that this, so this is part of what is happening and trending mostly on the social media this morning. There's another one that I've seen here, and this just reminds us back to when the campaign was going on. It says not for sale. It's got 3 sections. One section has got the granite, the other section has got the sugar, and at the bottom it's got the gari, and it has it here, APC, Buhari and Osibajo. And I think this was part of their campaign then in 2015, and I'm sure it says this idiot actually told Nigerians their plans from the beginning, according to the story on top of it as well. There's another one here as well. This happened in Emirate Lodge close to Arusun Lodge in somewhere in Igawa in the Federal University of Technology, Owerri. Students came out to make sure it wasn't an unlawful detain. So we see a lot of officer that goes into the institution, try to arrest those students, but I can tell you with engagement with some of those that we've spoken to, when the officer are broke, that is when they come down to the university dormitory to harass, extort some of the students, and then they go away with smile in their face as well. So we take the last one, and world most pressure youth are Nigerians, according to this report. According to the report that we have here, says world most pressure youth are Nigerians. A new report by United Nations Children Fund has revealed that Nigerian youth feel the most pressure to succeed globally. A new report, the report titled Changing Childhood Project, was conducted by UNICEF in conjunction with Girl Up ahead of the November 20 Children's Day celebration. Under it says Nigerian children and youth adults were increasingly under the most pressure to succeed globally, even with limited opportunity and support from the government. Starr Radio UK, I come back now to you in the studio. Yes. I'm told now that the petition will hit 100,000. Well, okay, the petition will hit 100,000 just before December, and I'm sure the Parliament will have to discuss that in the new year.
Yes, and that is the bit that I wanted to touch on, the petition. Now, do we have in our parliaments here in Ghana, in Nigeria, and on the West, call it on the African Parliament, where when maybe like here we have petition when somebody does a petition, it reaches 100 signatories, and then government has to say, do we have anything of the sort in our constitution?
I don't know categorically the number, but I do know that petitions can be submitted to parliaments in Africa as well. That is why okay, let's take this bill for instance that is being proper human and sexual right. The public sitting that started last week before it was suspended, a lot of people petitioned on different grounds, and parliament is bound to be able to consider some of those issues raised. When someone is again going to be vetted, announcement is made, and the public is also again invited to submit petitions or whatever any other thing that they might have about it. But I do not know where I don't know whether we have a specific over here. There's a deliberate decision that has been taken that the process must be independent, must not rely on someone's basically today my girlfriend angered me and therefore the signatures are this and therefore I'm allowing it to go. Tomorrow the signatures are this. No, there must be that if you're launching a petition to the UK Parliament, you can have 100,000 signatures. Most often, most of these people should be residents of the UK. You know, don't go and bring 100,000 signatures from Afghanistan, Ghana, Ethiopia, and think that they should come and debate in Parliament. It's not going. Most of them, that's why you will need their email addresses over there. If you can demonstrate that that 100,000 petition, most of them to are resident in the UK, then you earn that privilege to be able to have your petition heard.
Yomi, do you have that in Nigeria?
Well, you're meant to have it, but again, not working to expectation.
You can have 1 million, 20 million petition, nothing will happen. That is Africa for you. Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. That is Mr. Olayomi Koiki, bringing you updates from Nigeria. Okay, Yomi, before you go,
don't go anywhere because you still have Frank and Archie to take you through the remaining segment of the program. Remember to follow us on all our social media handles. But the best way to send money home is using SendWave, and remember to use the code S4Star R for Radio. You can also check us on our website www.starradio.uk, where you can find everything you need to know about all the programs coming around over this weekend. On my side, I'll be back again on Monday. But if you're in Nigeria, stay safe. And if you're traveling within the intercity, make sure you're not traveling on a very late trip because of the insecurity in the country. Have a very good afternoon. Good morning from this side of the globe.
Yes, good afternoon and good morning to you, Mr. Olayomi Koiki. Thank you very much for that wonderful update. Listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Bringing the time down to 7 minutes to the top of the hour. We're going to take a break. Once we come back, we'll look at some of the stories making the rounds here in the UK and other parts of the world. And at 12:30, we'll be having our money man, Mr. Tabiri, also joining in to bring you the money hour. So we've got only few minutes to do all our discussions. So in the next 7 minutes, the lines will be open. But let me announce it open and then we go for the commercial break. It is 0208-133-2257 or 58 0208-133-2257 or 58. Now, if you happen to be in the US, Canada, or the Caribbean area, it's 001-718-303-2737 001-718-303-2737. You can also text or WhatsApp us. This is 0753-966-1744 0753-966-1744. Our Twitter handle is Starr Radio UK and email address is info@starradiouk.com. Alright, so hold on for a minute, get yourself a cold drink or hot one, whichever is appropriate, and let's come back in a moment.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR, S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Tune in to On Point here on Star Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Welcome back to the program. It is Star Radio UK, bringing the time now to exactly 4 minutes to the top of the hour. Like I announced earlier on, the lines are open. Feel free to share your take with us wherever you are. Adeboye, okay, we've read that one already. But so let's go on. Let's go on to some of the stories making their rounds in other parts of the world. Now, with me in the studio, Mr. Frank Davis, and I'm Archie, and we are bringing you the rest of the show before 12:30 when we have our money man joining in. Now, interestingly, in UK, for those of you who want to be traveling, they say, well, to get the waiver. UK government, booster to be added to NHS COVID pass for travel. People in England, let me bring the details so that we can see whether we have to go get a booster. Travelers who have had a booster dose of COVID jab in England will be able to prove their vaccination status using the NHS COVID pass from midday. That's today. It will enable quarantine-free travel to countries such as Israel, Croatia, and Austria, which have a time limit for vaccination status to be valid. Now, third doses will not be added to the domestic pass as they are not currently needed to qualify as fully vaccinated. Last week, booster jabs were extended to all 40s in the UK. Booster doses are initially offered to over 50s frontline health and social care staff and people with health conditions that put them at greater risk from the virus. More than 13 million booster jabs have been administered in the UK so far. Now, booster jab, and they are saying that, well, there are some countries that unless you have booster, you are not going.
Well, booster and boost, they can boost themselves. You avoid them. What are you going to do in those countries? You see, Archie, I mean, I think we've spoken about this over and again. Some of us are still not convinced about all these booster jabs and other things. Yes, we're convinced about the efficacy of the vaccine, what it's doing. But look, as we speak now, Austria has just moved into a full 10-day lockdown to stop the fourth wave. Yeah. What are we talking about over here? Yeah. What are we talking about?
Yeah. It's a worry. You know, it's a serious
has
worry.
moved into the fourth lockdown. 10 days complete lockdown.
You remember last week they were saying that all vaccinated people, they locked them down last week. Now everybody locked down.
German has passed a law. German parliament approved a law that you need to be vaccinated to take public transport.
Right.
He's coming home. This morning I was telling I spoke to a friend of mine. I tell you need to learn how to ride a bicycle because very soon
you've not jumped. Get off that.
So you need to learn how to ride a bicycle. Are you getting me? But at the end of the day, so if hunters are learning how to shoot without missing, the birds mouse, or if birds are learning to fly without perching, the hunters also need to learn how to shoot without missing.
Well, we don't know because it looks like we don't know exactly what
it's
is
a trial
happening.
error that we have in over here, because the initially when the vaccines arrived, it was
we have the vaccine, you have the vaccine, you are.
One would have thought that by now everything would have been look, we're all vaccinated, but that is not the case. I think we've been a bit arrogant and are failing to learn. How is Japan, how is China? China, where it all started, I call the genesis of COVID. How are they handling it? Sometimes we need to be flexible and learn. We can have the best our health system that we want to talk about, which I guess is not the best, but how are they handling it? Hong Kong, 0 case. You arrive in Hong Kong, 21 days quarantine. You have to be in quarantine for 21 complete days
before you can come out.
0 cases as we speak. 0 cases. It doesn't matter if you leave Hong Kong, you go to mainland China, and once you leave the borders and re-enter, 21 days straight. Dr. Marco's wife has to quarantine for 21 days. That's why the daughter even didn't go to visit. Because if I'm going there to visit during this short break and I can't sit down, up being in a group and not seeing nobody. So how are they doing it?
But that's strict laws. I mean, when we come to this part of the world, they'll talk about the fact that you are infringing on my right. I have to be. So people agitate against it. They're like, look at protests that we've had from.
For me, the solution to this is to protect the most vulnerable.
And leave out the rest to just go about our own.
I mean, protect the most vulnerable. In fact, that was the natural selection that they did. That the COVID itself is naturally selecting some people to kill early. So we must fight the COVID along those fronts.
Yeah.
When you have a battle that is ongoing, where you saw artilleries landing more, what do? That's where the strongest men have to be.
Yeah, stronghold.
Your battalion,
the stronghold.
That is where you need to fly. So we know this. The COVID is attacking those with underlying causes, the most vulnerable. Instead of wasting our time on the 12, 15 years, yes, I do understand.
Some of them
have underlying, but the general issue about they are between 12 and 15, they pass on the disease and other things. Hello, let's target the vulnerable, because from day one you wanted herd immunity, which would have mean that we are exposed. We could have just
all die.
We can even just spray the COVID in the air. We all catch it, and then
we see whoever will die. Bye.
How about that?
Maybe that would have given us herd immunity a long time ago, naturally immunized.
And they told us that this is bringing to play with our immune system. As you know, it just tells you nature is nature. It cannot be. Now HIV to the vaccine, another vaccine.
Yeah, they got a vaccine. They say you take two injections.
God help us.
Well, the UK government was not properly prepared for a pandemic like COVID-19. That's what the story is saying now. So I don't know whether people will be held culpable for it, but the question, the issue is, we've never seen anything of the sort before.
We've never seen anything of the sort before. None of us was alive when they found.
100 years ago when that one
probably
happened.
A few people might be alive, but most of them. My dad had not even met my mom. At that time, so I wasn't. There was no chance I was going to be here. So
that wasn't even born by then. So how would they even?
You get what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's a learning process. But where the house will begin to fall, or where the mass fall, is that if we do have a policy, for instance, which says that, look, we must have this strategic reserve of A, B, C. Let's say the PPEs down. And it turns out that out of negligence or out of a deliberate decision, that policy was breached, right? And that the strategic reserve that we're supposed to have, we don't have it. Which again resulted in transmissions of people infecting others. Then I think there's a bit of us must fall over there. Now, if a decision like what we saw from care homes to the hospital, back to the care homes, and we know there was no policy in place to say that once you've been to hospital and back, and even back to the care home, we are isolating you.
Yeah,
you're not taking part in the bingo trips.
Yeah,
you are not taking part in the dancing classes that takes place within the care homes. You're not sitting watching TV together and dancing all those old oldies with your colleagues. If there was a policy like that, someone failed to implement it in their care home on this end, then we do not ask much for. But apart from that, I think they are learning processes. But what happens is that if we've learned all these and people in charge are not coming up with rules, regulations, ways of moving forward, then again we'll have a problem.
We'll have a problem. 5 minutes past 6 minutes past 12 the time, the morning show, the program. Mr. Frank Davis for you, and now we've got ourselves with Mr. Kojo D from South London. Kojo, good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon, Archie, and good afternoon, Frank.
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, so a quick one now, the booster jab, and then the fact that the government wasn't prepared for the COVID. How do you see it?
Well, I don't think any nation was prepared. Just being honest. Who is prepared for COVID? Who is prepared for a pandemic? I'm not sure. All the modeling the scientists will do in preparation of a future pandemic or epidemic or crisis, health crisis, probably had been modeled around different types of pandemics, similar to Ebola, right? So COVID is slightly a different type of pandemic. So I don't think any country was really prepared in that sense for a pandemic that will occur. You cannot be sufficiently prepared that way. So really, I'm not sure how anybody will be able to deal with that instance that people were prepared. You can't buy so many PPEs that you want to buy, but really, would you have enough when the PPEs all have expiry dates? So you get what I'm trying to arrive at. You can stockpile medication. So in the case of COVID, nobody knew the medication that they were going to use to treat it.
Apart from Donald Trump.
Exactly. Who say you can't take bleach? So that is a difficulty. No country was ever prepared. They have all the scientific modeling to say that if there is a pandemic, if there is an epidemic, this is how we're going to deal with it. But this was a different type of what they have known. So all the scientific modeling and preparation, they couldn't cope with it. Yeah, but if you're talking about the booster jobs, the other day, somebody asked me, when are you going for the booster jab? I said, well, through a conversation, I said, I haven't. He said, when are you going? I said, I don't know. He said, oh, so you mean you don't want to take it? I said, well, as and when I am ready, then I will take it. Then the conversation went on. He said, oh, so do you usually have a flu jab? I said, I've never had a flu jab before, not even once. And he said, yeah, APS, I've never seen you have flu or cold. And I said, well, I read somewhere on one of these news websites, a reputable news website, where about 10 people, they did an experiment where a number of people were exposed to the virus. And out of that group that was exposed to the virus, about a third, right? So out of about 10, 3 people never had any of the symptoms at all. They did not actually even get COVID. So you see, some people's immune system already fights of the virus. So
natural selection, Charles Darwin.
Exactly. That's what. Yeah, that's exactly like Frankie was saying. There was so there are people who, by way of their immune system, is such a way that they don't get it. They might be exposed to it, and we know earlier on that they say some people get it and they don't show symptoms, and those people will never be ill, although they have it, but there's no symptom. They don't fall ill. So that is a situation with a whole lot, a certain percentage of people. So let's say about 2 in every 10 of people will either not display any symptom, or probably not even fall sick, will not actually even test positive. How do you deal with those groups of people? Yeah, so it's everybody's personal decision to make whether to get a booster jab or not.
Yeah.
But looking at what is happening in Austria now, do you think that maybe there should be stricter measures here in the UK, because there's increase in infection rates and hospitalization as well?
Yeah,
do you think that we need to go?
We don't have so
well,
much.
in certain parts of the country, let's put it that way. Yeah, it's not everywhere in the country where the economy hasn't even returned to its levels in areas like London.
And if you look, sorry to catch you, if you look at the deaths that we are recording here, there are people, a lot of them have had a vaccine, and this thing has waned down.
Okay,
and therefore, I mean, that's why they are speeding up with this thing. But those that the vaccine has marked as they're like the blood of Jesus, and during the Egyptian time, you as your Passover, you
the Passovers. Wow. Well, let's start Radio UK. 12 minutes past the top of the hour. We are pressed with time, but we'll go on to have a look at some of the stories. Now, I'm just touching on this story. Okay, let me see. Okay, I don't know whether we've got a caller on this line. But let's see. Okay. Hello. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, is that Starr Studios? Yeah.
Yes, this Starr Studios.
Yeah,
you are on air.
I wanted to book the studio.
Okay. You have to talk off air, please. Yeah. So we'll talk to you off air. Yeah. All right then. Thanks. Okay. Listeners, we apologize for that call. Now let's move on to this case in China, where this Chinese tennis player. Okay.
I think we will call the person back. I think we can get the number. We'll call the person back. Let's continue the program. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This Chinese tennis player, Page, her other name, her surname, I don't know whether Shuai or Shu, after saying or alleging, let me put it that way, that one of the Chinese, one of the deputies, had raped her, or has abused, abused her. It's gone. It's vanished. She's vanished. Now we have various sports personalities saying that no, they need to do something about it. But my question here is, now, when you live in some communities, okay, you live in this part of the world where there is there is democracy and there is respect of law. When somebody does something to you, you take it on, and for sure, you know that you can get the redress. However, there are some communities that when you say Jack, they will bring everything that they have on you. Which one? How do you see? Do you think that it's wise enough for this lady? Because when I saw that thing, I said, something is going to happen to her, and lo and behold.
Yeah, actually, it's an unfortunate incident. Let's get to the basic of it. This girl willingly had a sexual relationship with willingly.
Okay.
Initially was having a relationship with this man. It all, according to her, it finished.
Okay.
Then the man came back and forcibly abused her. So there were two phases of the whole situation.
Okay.
The first phase, we were having an affair willingly.
Yeah.
We get to a point, we said it's done. Now you came to my house one day and forcibly had intercourse with me. Now that is the genesis of it. Now you talking about it. China will not want to. They don't like washing their dirty linen.
Yeah.
And what has happened, even her profile, her social media profile is all cleansed.
Yeah.
So you type her name and everything in the this thing, you do not know
nothing about
but
it.
one thing that gives me a bit of hope that she should be okay is that you recall certain people that were reported missing during the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Some of them are surfacing back now.
Did they resurrect?
No. So the question is that are the Chinese keeping you somewhere so that media does not get in contact with you until everything dies down before they come back or before they release you? But with this girl, I think the international committee eyes are on China.
Okay.
There's a Winter Olympics coming on.
Yeah, and people are beginning to even boycott it. Some are saying,
it's going to be boycott. It's going to be boycotted. A lot of people will boycott it, should they? So, but again, you see, Chinese is also playing a very hard game over here because they have so much money. They signed a 10 years agreement with this WTA, World Tennis Association.
Yeah.
Which was looking at almost a 10 billion. Now, with that money, they're supposed to hold series of events in that country.
Yeah.
The organization will also be looking at that money. Are we going to lose that money? So again, money power.
Money talks.
But I just hope that she's okay, because that would not be good for the Chinese. No. I mean, and this is not a state issue. I mean, an individual has been accused. An individual has been pursued. I do not think the state should come in, if anything at all. The state should come in defense of the most vulnerable in this power relation, which will be the girl instead of the former vice.
Kojo, do you think it's wise for people? I mean, depending on where you are, I mean, if you go accuse Putin that Putin is done something, you know for sure that tomorrow you will not be here talking to me. You be taking off the Belarusian leader. You will be sleeping.
Exactly. I think you've actually put the hammer on the head of the nail. If I live in China and I want to make that accusation, right? I want to leave China before making it. Making sure I am not returning. I know once I do that, my life will be under threat. You see, the thing about China is that their leaders, private and public lives, there is no distinction between the two. So if something happened in a private life with an ordinary citizen, maybe he's a tennis star, and it becomes a public consumption, which the public has a right to know. Look, I know somebody in this country, the similar scenario you described, the issues that happened, they had an affair previously, they were in a kind of a relationship, and it broke down, it stopped. But this individual was still pursuing this lady, as far as going to the person's home. This person ended up in court. He was found guilty of sexual assault, sexual harassment, and rape. Look, in every civilized, previously Frank was talking about that incident that people were, somebody had raped or had a sexual whatever with an 8-month pregnant woman. It's wrong. If that thing has happened in China and it becomes public notice, look, the victim will be more victimized. That's the bottom line of it. If you want to make such an accusation, you know how your country is. travel out of the country, go on a tennis tour and never return.
Yeah.
Because if she hops on a plane and says she wants to go, you know how China is. People are being monitored.
Yeah.
Their movement, everything. She's a superstar. Why is she leaving the country at this point when there's no tournament? Go on a tournament. When you arrive on a tournament and you make the accusation, you don't return again. You get an asylum. Look, what happened to those Afghan people when they went to the Olympics? Was it the Olympics or the football tournament? What did they do? They know they were not going to go back safe to Afghanistan. They immediately applied for asylum. There was a similar situation of one of these other countries too that I'm trying to remember. A similar situation. The person went away and they were being pushed back to go to the country, and they were even deselected when they were not even told. That was Belarus.
Yeah.
The sprinter, the Belarusian sprinter who actually protested against the way the Olympics was being handled by the bosses. They gave asylum. They decided to just take her off. The country deselected her, and she was vocal, but because it was in a different country, they couldn't do anything. So I think some of these people, they should well be advised. If you want to make such allegations, do it when you are not in the country, because you know your individual freedom and that probably of your family will be suppressed.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I like it when you can air whatever. I mean, somebody's wronging you. You want to talk about it. I want you to do so. But when we just think, oh, I need to say it. I need to say it, and you're not looking at the environment where you are, the consequences of saying it there, and they have taken it, and then boom.
That's the truth. You've just said. I mean, I don't know who
probably could have done it to prove a point. I mean, you never can tell. Let me risk it. Because there are thousands of women who might not have the privilege to leave the country when something like that happens to them. I might have the privilege. I have international profile, and when I speak out, there are a lot of people who might listen, who might follow, and probably it might inspire a lot of people who are actually going through the same thing to also. We saw Afghan women even standing up. Saudi Arabia women standing up. So probably that could have been the calculation that, look, whatever it is, someone has to stand up and speak up.
So maybe that's what they're doing. Okay. Well, listeners, 12:22. It is Starr Radio UK, the Friday edition of the morning show. We've got a few minutes before we bring our money man on, but let's go to Ghana, have a look at this story. Now, yes, the day before yesterday, when the budget was read, there was one thing that came out after, and that was the order by the road minister. Is it a road minister? Yes, saying that no more road tolls. Now, it says, following the presentation of 2022 budget statement and economic policy of government by Honorable Minister of Finance on behalf of His Excellency, blah, 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 the ministry is aware that the statement on the road and bridge tolls by the Minister of Finance as captured under paragraph 306 of 22 budget was to the effect that the cessation will be triggered immediately after Parliament approves the budget. So, it was something that was in the budget, contained in the budget, and then boom. So the moment the budget reading was over, boom, they kicked it into bay. Now, what is wrong with stopping this road toll?
Actually, I think the statement itself is self-contradicting, because they've issued two contradictory statements, which for me, I don't know whether the minister, who again happens to be a member of parliament, what he was thinking. And again, surprisingly, Anodonpre, who is the chief whip of the majority grouping in parliament, yesterday also ignorantly demonstrated how basically unconstitutional some of them can operate when it comes to party politics and when they want to favor them. The statement clearly states that when the budget is approved, the budget was not approved.
The
budget was read. It's a proposal that has been given to Parliament to look at, and Parliament will then have a decision to make whether they want to approve that budget or not, whether they want to seek clarification or not. Submitting a budget to Parliament does not in itself meaning that all the elements in that budget have been approved. We saw what is happening in the US, for instance. Joe Biden's government submitted a proposal. We saw a lot of amendments that were made to those expenditure plans, because negotiation and deliberations were taking place. People say no, we don't want this, and then so you cannot just straight away say that because a budget has been read, it automatically means that it has been approved. If you look at Article 174, which talks about taxation, it says no taxation shall be imposed otherwise done by or under the authority for an act of Parliament. So no one can surcharge anyone, impose any tax. Clause 2 says that where an act enacted in accordance with clause 1, which is the power that is given to Parliament to enact laws and a taxation law, of this article confers power on any person or authority, which could be a minister, to waive or vary a tax imposed by that act. The exercise of the power of waiver or variation in favor of any person or authority shall be subject to the prior approval of Parliament by resolution. That is why even when a tax waiver, you are an importer, you want a tax waiver, it has to go to Parliament that is seeking this waiver. That's why there's an act that regulates. If you are an investor, you make category A, B, C, D, then a tax concession can be given you. That's why we have free zone. That when you are coming and you want to set up over here, because Parliament has passed a result. Trade minister cannot just say that you are establishing free zone, you meet all the criteria, we are not exempting you because we do not like you. If it's a free zone and you are going to, the law makes sense. Now clause 3 says that Parliament may by resolution supported by the votes of no less than 2/3 of all members of Parliament exempt the exercise of any power from the provisions of clause 2 of this article. So fine, the minister, there's no law that has actually given Amwakwata express permission or a resolution that Parliament has passed by 2/3 majority, say that anytime a budget or anytime you like, you can vary taxes that fall within your ambit. So Amwakwata was totally out of order, totally taking it's a disrespect and affront to the Parliament. That's because laws are supposed to be passed, stopped, amended by Parliament. You cannot allocate to yourself the powers that has not even been given to you just because you're a minister. I think he was totally out of order.
Now let's go to Kojo. Now this is something, though we said that the budget has to be approved before certain is done, but this is something that you see that is popular. Now the moment that thing was kicked in, the announcement that you have drivers celebrating, jubilating, say yes, this is good. The GPRTU and various unions with vehicular saying that yeah. So why is opposition now saying that it needs to come to Parliament for approval before that is done? Because if it's going to benefit the people, why not?
Well, that is a formality. Look, the law that puts the road tolls and everything into operation, and the toll booths and all that, collecting money at bridges and motorways, was approved by Parliament. So for that law to be reversed, it still had to go through the approval of Parliament. I mean, it's a great thing that everybody was rejoicing. But the rejoicing of the people doesn't mean it took effect immediately it was announced in Parliament. Look, if it's a military government, then we can understand that can happen instantly. But this is a democracy. It's a parliamentary democracy. So anything that is set into motion will have to go through the proper parliamentary approval. Otherwise, it becomes another set of the president has said it, so we'll go ahead with it. The MP has said it, so we'll do it. The minister has said it, so we'll do it. No.
It's having a bad precedent for other.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly. And I was surprised to hear members of the ruling government quickly jumping in and defending, even the deputy minister of finance jumping in to defend the roads minister. Look, it tells me that, look, the road minister himself doesn't even know the processes through where legislation and bills are approved. Look, he had to understand that when a budget is laid before parliament, it has to go through the appropriate channels to approve. He couldn't just go ahead and issue a press release. I even look at the press release, I wouldn't even write a press release in that format. Look, I look at it and read it. The finance minister, who is the finance minister? In the press release, you have to mention the name of the minister of finance. Then when you go on and say the president of the Republic of Ghana, who? You mention it in the press release. That is it. It was hurriedly
put together
out because they want to please a certain section of the population, and because they want to say that we are cutting down on taxes, because people say road tolls are taxes. They are another way of taxing people, and that is causing inflation to go up on daily basis. So they are saying we are removing that element. So it all became a political game. So the road minister quickly thought, right, this is a weapon. We go out, we shoot it. And I think he actually misfired.
Okay. Hold on. I've got somebody on the line. I'm not sure who the person is. Good afternoon, sir or madam. Hello. Okay, maybe the person is gone. All right then.
Yeah, I do think that it was Nama Kwata himself who just did that. I think someone might have written on it, but it was a move to bury the hardship that the budget presented. This was a political gimmick that was being played. This is an act of government that know that there are certain taxes that they've introduced that were going to be opposed by the citizens, and therefore how do we change or take control of the narrative? Let that quickly, before even people start dissecting and basically trying to analyze what we've presented to parliament, let's go ahead hurriedly and put these road tolls. Unfortunately for them, Kojo, again, it is not true that everybody was jubilating for the road toll. The people who were selling, those head porters, those who sell by the road booths, they were demonstrating. That's why there was a demonstration yesterday. They opposed the removal of it, because at the end of the day, some were crying. That what do they do? Because when the cars get then slow down, that is how they are able to ply. That's why they are able to sell. So basically, it's an economy on its own. The toll booths are basically a pull factor for those who sell over there. So what has happened is, you take the toll booths out, you are collapsing those businesses. And yesterday there were cries. People were demonstrating. People at Kaswabu demonstrated yesterday that president should, whatever is going to be done, they should bring the toll booths back.
Okay, now let's look at the toll book holistically. Let's forget about this budget and as to whether the road ministry took the right course. Now let's look at the road toll. Now, first of all, when you get to that particular place, I remember back in the day, the one at the Tema, the motorway one, you get there and there weren't lots of cars at the time, so it works a bit speedily for you. So you get there and they're quick, you are gone. But nowadays it's not like that. You get there and they tail back. And then the people too walking in the midst, they're trying to trade as well, which we know that it's not supposed to be. So maybe that would have taken those people there from that place, those who are doing the trading, to maybe a place where, again, when it comes to our place, when we say stop this, we don't give you an alternative, and therefore you say stop this, and the person has to come back because you've not given the person an alternative.
Yeah.
Now, how do we see the whole of this toll gate thing? Because we could do a digital one.
Yeah, actually, we could. Yes, I mean, again, nothing stops us from using technology to advance to find out how we could. I mean, basically take the tools better. Nothing again stops us from expanding the routes.
Yeah.
Instead of keeping it at Nkrumah era.
Yeah.
Motorway. Two lanes. So, I mean, our inability to basically go ahead and get a proper system does not mean that we should just abandon or we shouldn't follow the rules. But actually, the most important thing and the one question we should be asking is, what have they been using the toll booth money for? I mean, we are being told, for instance, that Temamoto Way, they are put tolls on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if a whole Temamoto Way toll booths are bringing I mean, a lot of money, and they are still portals, then what's the money used for?
Yeah.
The only solution I see happening over what it will help is that you recall when MPP came to power.
Yeah.
How they rushed.
To take over the toll booth.
The political they say that when there's a change of power, we're not going to see political vigilantes
going to take over,
snatching that this is our government in power, get out of this place and let's make some money. We're not going to see that.
Could you?
Yeah, actually, my thing was, look, if it's been announced in the budget, the budget is waiting for approval. The budget didn't even suggest that it was going to take immediate effect.
Okay.
So my thing is that if you want to abolish toll booths, look, it should be a process. Once it's approved in Parliament, look, the booths should be removed. So that was the first. Look, I had some friends who are staunch members of the political of the MPP of the ruling government, and they already started jubilating and sending the press releases out. And that was yesterday. And when they sent it out, I just replied one of them. I said, well, my opinion is if you want to remove road toll charging on roads and bridges, you should also remove the infrastructure that has been put in place to collect the tolls.
Yeah.
So that all the tailbacks on all those roads will ease, so that the vehicular traffic that builds up as a result of people going through the toll booths and paying will no longer be there. And he couldn't come back and answer. And I said, look, that is the most sensible thing anybody can do. There is no reason rejoicing when the physical infrastructure is still sitting there and still impeding traffic. You have to remove the structure and make sure the road is ready for people to drive through, or gradually have a plan in place to remove it. And they no longer exist. You can't just not abolish it and leave the structures over there. What is the essence?
No, we get some people sleeping in there. It will be somebody's room or in Ghana.
And you know how many lives have been lost on that road?
Yeah.
To that vehicle traffic build up and individuals running across the street because they want to sell their wealth. Several, countless. If I remember when I was a kid, we used to drive by the motorway, and I saw it as a long stretch of road. Just imagine a kid who was growing in Accra, and you go on the motorway and go to Tema, and you saw it as a very a long
stretch,
and it wasn't congested. No congestion. You go and you go through the both. And my parents prefer passing there instead of going through the tertiary area because of the built up of traffic. And whenever we get there, we are so happy because we'll stop near them at the toll booth and there'll be some sweets and biscuits that will be over the road. But honestly, we've moved on. The country has moved on from that era. So there are even ways people are passing to dodge that booth. When I used to live in Takumono in the 90s, we go through a back road and we are on the motorway in front of the toll booth. So we don't pay, we use it. We come back again. So I think that infrastructure is outgrown its purpose. Anyway, that's my view. I mean, so it should be scrapped. The tolls should be scrapped.
But one thing I do not agree with Kojo is the fact that they are claiming that they're going to use the Momo tax as you cannot look the essence of the
you cannot replace one with the other.
You see, the essence of a toll road. You can't be charging me for using M6
when I've not driven on it.
I've not driven there.
Yeah, exactly.
So if there's a route to this end, it is for cars that ply that route.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you cannot be charging me for a route that I'm not using. So it cannot even be called route toll tax again because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
If I choose to go to Birmingham and I'm driving through M6 and I decide to use the high MC that is paid for, I pay for it.
Yeah.
If I decide to go to the slow route,
you go for free.
And you get me? We do have road tax that is already there. What are they using that money for? I know there's again there was a fund that was set up I think 2012 or something like that, and we're supposed to have a called ESLA or something like that, where money goes to basically finance when the government started taking a decision to finance a lot of projects to internal generated funds. So you see a lot of rules, GOG, government of Ghana, GOG government. What is government done when they came to power? Just like the GET fund, again they mortgaged that ESLA. They mortgaged it. So at the end of the day, there's no money now. The source of that money, okay, this is what we take probably when you are vehicle examination or when you are clearing goods, when you are doing this, we take this amount of tax. That amount of tax go to a port and that port brings out $1 million a day, assuming we use that 1 million as collateral and say, okay, you know what, we get 1 million a day from this, give us 100 million plus interest, so that anytime we get that 1 million, 80% of it will be used to pay part of the loan that we've taken from you, right? And therefore amount of money that is left in the port, because you've already committed a lot of that ESLA money into paying of that. What is left is just a little thing that is left, and therefore they need now to find more, especially now that the Chinese have disappointed them with the millions that they were supposed to give us. Money they was with the bauxite or whatever. They thought that was going to come year of root and those money. The Chinese are not stupid. Are you get me? They're not stupid. So they're looking at ways of now fixing rules because the money has been mortgaged. So the question we should be asking again, and government must answer, when you mortgaged the ESLA, that money, what did you use it for? Just like the GET fund. When you mortgage the GET fund, one would have thought that the money that you got from that GET fund, you use it to complete a lot of school blocks, build a lot of infrastructure, so that we do not have, I mean, prior to the implementation of the free SHS, a lot of people studying under trees, dilapidated school blocks. But you borrow that money and use it for consumption. Are you getting me? So now we fairly say we are broke, Archie. We basically are broke.
We do anything and everything. Well, listen, let's start with the UK. Kojo, so you were saying that it's outlived its usefulness. I mean, there are new routes. I mean, when you talk about the Kaswa one, where they got that one as well, those are new ones that they've done. I don't know whether it complies with, or it looks like the ones that we have here. Now, looking at digital, if we want to digitalize that, okay, so that those who ply the roads can use it, I don't think we are anywhere near that, because when it comes to registration, I mean, well, now they're saying that they don't live in post boxes again, that we've got, but as whether vehicles are, I mean, you can just say that, okay, you've crossed a red light and therefore the MTU or whoever sees to that is sending you a letter. You can send it to your address and you will receive that. I don't know how feasible that is.
Look, my grandmother would say is non-existent. Who is going to track you down? Where are they going to track you down? Look, when I was growing up, right, in the 80s, right, as a teenager in the 80s, every home, actually throughout the 70s and the 80s. Look, as far as my memory can remember, in the early 80s, every house has an address. You hardly see the slums that we see in Accra now. Look, every property has an address across the country, not only in Accra. People will tell you, I remember very well the street I lived on, the number on the street, the number on the gate, the street name and everything. But how many street names do we have now? We don't. How are they going to find you if you go through a red light? If they mount a camera and you drive through the camera, where are they going to find you? But that said, it can be done. I'm not ruling out that it cannot be done. It can easily be done. So if you go to register your vehicle, they take your details, they take your post box address and all that sort of thing. So what they can do is that your postal box, your address, your picture and everything is linked up to your vehicle. So when you drive through a red light, even if it's going to take 3 months for them to send you that letter, they should send it. And after the 3 months, there could always be a grace period. If you've not honored your obligation, the police can actually stop you in the middle of the road and say, this is a letter we sent to you. Why haven't you done it? So they can do it. They don't have to rely on door numbers to do it. They can still use the postal boxes, the digital addressing system they said they have now. They can still use it to do it. But look, we should be moving forward. There are roads that are even better than some of the roads that have the, tolls on them. And people are driving. So if I'm going to drive to Cape Coast, I have to, as a mass, go through Kaswa.
Yeah.
So if
they
put a toll at the Kaswa booth, do I have any other choice?
No. Unless you go to Kumasi and go and cross from that side.
Yeah, exactly. In the UK, except you live in London, where there's congestion charge and ULEZ regime. But even that, if I am driving to North London, I still avoid going through the congestion charge zone if I don't want to pay. But we don't have the infrastructure that will give us alternative routes. So you are forced to go through and you pay for it. That is why I am of the view that they shouldn't have done that in the first place. Look, in the early 90s, if you remember, the Malaysians wanted to put a toll on the Tashi Dongwa road to Tema. They wanted to put a 3-carriageway there. They were going to buy lands from the chiefs. They were going to do a compulsory purchasing of houses on the roadside and pay everybody and put a land there. But the reason why the then government Rawlings didn't do it, it was the same reason. That no, we don't want to toll the road for so many people who live in that stretch of place to be paying tolls just to drive home. And that is the situation you have in between Greater Accra and the central region. People are paying toll just to drive home. You can say that they do it in London here. Yeah, but we've all come to accept it. But there are other alternative forms of travel. But do we have it there?
No.
Public transport is well developed in the UK. You can go on a train, you can go on a bus, you can go on anything you want. You can even fly in the sky. Emirates right. But we don't have those alternatives. So people are forced to pay for a toll, which I think is not justified.
Frank, digitalization of this, how do you see it happening? When? Can you give a time?
It can happen. I mean, actually, there are certain things that happen naturally. First, we have a data. I mean, actually, the first burden has been solved. The construction of the national data center is a key strategic infrastructure. Now you are able to now link information. Now that has given birth and helped the national identification system. So when I drive a car, you can now even link the car to the owner. through the ID system. And therefore, if you mount a camera by the toll booth, that will be able to spot that ABCD has driven through this place. Automatically can again be integrated into that database.
Okay.
So that infrastructure was very, very strategic. If we're very smart enough, we can leverage on that infrastructure and bring a lot of things together. Things that it might have taken us 10 years over here to do, we should be able to do it within 2 or 3 years. If we really are willing to do it. Now, insurance database this year was basically they created a database again for insurance, so that a police cannot check on their mobile phone whether you are insured or you are not insured, because all the insurance company, like what we do have at Axmead, they have something like that. They have something like that. Like I told you, that paper was submitted to Gabi. They fraudulently took it without acknowledging it, and they've implemented it. But it's a good thing for the country. So now, when you drive past, the police can easily
detect whether you
are insured or not, and they can even check who the car belongs. So we're moving forward. And it has nothing to do with certain things will come with with advancement in technology.
Okay. Listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. We apologize we didn't bring you the money hour, but all that we are talking about is money as well. Okay, now let's look at one area again, quick one from call it property taxes. Okay, I remember back in the day, one of the programs that we were hosting, and then I don't know whether it was Mr. David Kluche who came out to say he knew somebody who said, please come and they said come and take property tax of my property. Then he said they brought him some. You were telling me about. He said they gave the person this is the bill to pay. He said no, this is the value of my property. So now they have come, a government through the Ghana Revenue Rule from January 22 assists the MMDAs to implement a common platform for property rate administration to enhance property rate collection and its accountability, to ensure cost recovery by government in providing the infrastructure for the collective collection of the rate. A sharing ratio will be agreed with the assemblies. Where we understand that bit. But when it comes to the nitty-gritty of this, how are they going to do that? How are they valuing properties in various communities? New properties, the old ones. Here we have various bands. Are they going to have the same thing in Ghana as well?
Actually, hold on, let's go to Kojo.
Well, that is a difficult one. So, but I believe that's what they're going to do. We haven't seen the framework yet. I haven't seen the framework of how they propose to do it. What are they going to? But I think they're going to look at what has been done in other countries, or they have already looked at what is being done in other countries. And even in the UK here, so many people have been proposing for a revised system instead of what we have now, when the actual value of a property is also taken into consideration when they are putting the tax on. So I think that's what they're going to do. So some people within a certain geographical locality, the size of the house will be taken into consideration, the property value will be taken into consideration to determine what the tax will be. And I think that would be a fair assessment of that. So you can't say somebody who live in a certain rundown community without really any amenities to somebody who probably live in a more affluent area close to the National Cathedral. I want to make trouble with that one. Where the value of the land and the houses that sit on that land are substantially more than somebody who is overseen by the Zongo minister. You can't put that two apart. So I think they will consider all that. And some of the properties might not even attract a tax at all. So like some of the properties that live in a slum area, how are they going to really evaluate somebody who has put up an uncompleted building in a certain place that is not even complete? How are you going to value that? So there'll be a mechanism. I believe there'll be a mechanism. And in my opinion, it should involve a wide range of stakeholders.
Okay.
It shouldn't just be left to a small group of people making that decision. Otherwise, there might be a lot of corruption also involved.
As when my own lesson is, we've had this back home where the affluent always makes laws in their favor. So instead of them, giving themselves or taking the fair share of what's supposed to be, they rather just take a little and then put it on the poor again, because they are renting from some landlord who is virtually not giving them any amenities in that particular property, and that landlord is going to say, well, they've brought this property tax, so I'm now adding it to whatever, and it becomes
tax.
Yeah,
not paying tax on the rent they are collecting. Yeah, it's an income. They should be paying tax, but they don't pay tax. How many landlords in Ghana pay tax on the rent they collect? Just a handful.
Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. We're going to bring the program to a close, 5 minutes to the top of the hour. But let me go back to Kojo for what has made his highlight for today, and then we can run up. Over to you, Kojo.
Well, I think Frank was earlier on. Oh, sorry, it wasn't Frank. It was Yomi who was talking about violence in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Incidentally, I saw something on social media platform this week, which also a politician making fun, a politician who had just got into the Uganda parliament, and he decided to pick on similar issue, and he talked about the poor going to bed hungry and they couldn't sleep, and the rich going to bed and worried about the problems in their house, and they also cannot sleep the whole night, and they go to work and don't deliver at work, and they sleep in the workplace. But so the illustration he made was that people build houses, they put up a tall fence. On the fence they have barbed wire, which is electrified with a big sign, danger.
Yeah.
So today I was reading something about South Africa also, where it says South Africa is a violent country.
Yeah.
That's how it's been described.
Yeah.
Very, very, very violent country, where rapes are averaging around about 9,500 in 3 months.
Wow.
I've never seen any country like that. And he was talking about that is almost a rise of 7% as compared to the previous year. And when you go to South Africa, you see all kinds of everybody fortifying their houses.
Yeah.
So it is not just Nigeria that is a violent country. A lot of African countries are becoming violent countries, and it all points to one fact: lack of employment.
Yeah.
So people will find crime attractive. People want to live. People want to survive. The only thing they can find themselves doing when there are no opportunities whatsoever anywhere is to go into crime. So what are our governments doing? What is African governments doing? If that cut across the whole country, talking about East Africa, we talk about South Africa, we talk about West Africa, we talk about Central Africa, we've gone to North Africa. That is the order of the day. Our governments should be more responsible at dealing with the issues that involve the day-to-day governance of the country, and stop the quarreling over who is going to be who is who. They should stop all that and deal with the issues that our people face on a daily basis.
Wow.
I want to be secure when I travel there.
Yes, of course. I mean, that's making some of us a bit reluctant when it comes to traveling out. You think, really, do I want to go there? Looking at blah blah blah, and even you travel and then a little thing that you become jumpy because you reckon, whoa, there's somebody, which is not on. It's not on at all. But well, listeners, That is Kojo Day for you. Kojo, let me say thank you very, very much for your input today.
A good afternoon to all our listeners.
Yes, good afternoon to you too, sir. All right then. Yes, listeners. So this is where we bring the program to a close for today. This afternoon, exactly at 3 o'clock, Mr. Frank Davis will be coming your way with the Roots of Africa show. Make a date with him, and there's going to be some special program next week on. I will try to see whether on the ground as well we can get some of the participants of the IDO conference that took place in Ghana. We'll try to see whether we can get some of them. Last week we had a couple of them, 3 of them, of course, on the show, who were saying they are putting out their experiences. But this week will be next week going. We'll try to bring you something from the ground there as well. So make a date with us. But this is where I bring the program to a close. I want to say have a lovely, jubbly weekend. Keep warm. I mean, enjoy the day, because come Sunday it's going to be chilly here in the UK or in London. But maybe elsewhere it's warm. But make hay while the sun shines. Who knows what is coming tomorrow? But well, this is where I say have a top of the day and bye-bye for now. But Ben Braco sums it all nicely for me. He says maybe have a wonderful weekend and see you all on Monday, God willing. Bye-bye. I'm Archie.
Mokos